So this is our challenge, to cross the infamous Bay of Biscay, a distance of 450 miles, with a reputation for storms, high winds and high seas. It's a lee shore, so we can't afford to hug the coast. We have to pull on our big boy pants and head well offshore. Before we head out, a few last minute boat jobs. A missing nut from the in-mast mainsail furler, and check out of the marina, pay our bills, and then take a big breath in and we're off. So we're leaving Plymouth for the start of a new adventure. Right to the Plymouth boat, on the other side Plymouth Yacht Haven. Thanks very much for a great stay. Mountbatten, and the end of the mole. They're getting out of the way. Bottle boarders, a bit of morning exercise for them. What are we up to this morning, Skipper?
Well, we're starting our adventure. Heading south down to the Gran Canaria, but today we're just going to A Corona, the top of Spain.
Well, yeah.
Well, in 4.5 days we should get there.
Yeah. So you're happy?
Just leaving Plymouth.
Happy to leave Plymouth?
Yep. It's got harbour rot. Been here over a month now. Well, yes, about a month.
But we've got a lot done. Lots of things we've had to do.
And the boat is so heavy. She's all full of water, all full of fuel. And she takes ages to get it going. So.
Good passage to Corona. What's the weather forecast for today?
It's pretty good. Pretty benign actually. For the next couple of days we might be motoring an awful lot before the wind kicks in. In fact, we could do mid-teens to 20s wind would be ideal for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely ideal.
Cool. As you said, we're off to A Corona. We've finished all the work on the boat, done a lot of work on the underside, new rigging, standing rigging, so the boat's in great shape. We've put a lot of stuff away in cupboards, lots of food, lots of water and fuel, as you said. We've got a new dinghy cover, which we've been able to hide some of the fenders in, and we've got a crew helping us, called Paul. We'll introduce him in a minute.
Up on the foredeck talking, saying good morning to his wife.
Yeah, so we've got extra hands to help the passage. I'm looking forward to it. It's got a bit of a reputation as the Bay of Biscay, so we're not taking it lightly at all. We're all geared up. We're sailing direct from Plymouth to A Corona in Spain. Why are we doing that? Well, it reduces the time we'll be in Europe and hence our Schengen days by 5. If we hugged the coast, it would take twice as long, being more like 770 miles. The challenges are the traffic separation zones in the channel and off the French coast at Ussant. Why are we heading for A Corona? Well, it's a port of entry into Spain. It's well west along the Spanish coast, so we shouldn't have to face much of a headwind to get around the famous Cape Finisterre. It's also a beautiful city with the Tower of Hercules towering over the approach to the port and the marina. First night at sea on the Biscay Crossing. We're just heading for turning on the corner of Ussant. Quite big last night. All plain sailing then, till 20 miles south of Channel de Four when the Starlink stopped working. My fault, unfortunately. This is our best and main method of communication, especially for weather reports. Our backup, the Iridium Go, hadn't been configured at this point, so we were back to VHF forecasts from the Met Office or French channels along the coast. So we're hoping that the last weather chart we picked up this morning will hold for the next 3 days. It showed strengthening winds 30 to 35 knots, seas topping off at 4 meters, that's 12 feet. We're in for a bit of a beasting. Ideal conditions for Akitas. She needs 20 knots to pick up her skirts, and at 30 knots she's flying. With the engine and generator off, it's lovely to hear the creak of the sheets as she effortlessly slides over the waves heading ever further south.
We're going down. It's a sailing vessel, Eager. Can't see what boat it is on that. Just to say. Okay, so sun up on Saturday morning, big Atlantic swell, quite rolly, but coping with it fine. We've got the Ushant tide against us, so we were only doing about 2.5 knots. We're now up to about 4.5, at 6 over the ground, so we'll get there slowly. No rush. That's a lovely sunrise. The moon was the other side, but I'm the wrong side.
What type of weather sources do we use? Well, we like the apps Predict Wind, Windy and Wind Finder, using mostly the EC MWF forecasts and occasionally Spire when we need a longer range forecast, more days. And of course on the VHF you can't really beat the Met Office. Most of the time when we're going downwind we have the mainsail out a long way and we have it held with the main sheet and sometimes a preventer to stop it moving around. We can also set the genoa on the opposite side when we're going dead downwind, and we use the spinnaker pole to stabilise the sail so it doesn't collapse. It's a condition called wing on wing or goose winged. The spinnaker pole can be moved forward, which allows the sail to be reefed, so you can have a smaller foresail in heavier wind conditions. It also allows you to reef the sail and then pull it out on the opposite side if you're going to jibe the mainsail to the other jibe. Jibing can be quite dangerous. Perfectly good block, and here we have example 2, a not so good block. So what happened last night?
Well, we jibed, but it's just the way to the mast, just shot round.
Yeah, the weight of the load on it as we jibed pulled the rope through between the cheeks. We can't get it out at the moment, so we're just going to swap it for a different block.
He's on manoeuvres around the boat to go and get a new preventer line and a new block to put on it, and he's going to rescue his pot of sand through under his arm and bring it back a bit so it's not look as though it's about to fall off the boat. And we're averaging about 9.5 SOG at the moment. These lovely big waves pushing us in the wind.
The wind patterns in the Bay of Biscay are formed by low pressures that are out in the North Atlantic. Coming up there, you can see a good example here of one that's coming up and driving weather up into the Bay of Biscay. I believe the sun was in the way there. Pretty bouncy sea tonight. We've just taken a reef in, which was interesting to say the least. It's probably gusting 30 knots at the moment, I would think. Big seas. I doubt whether you'll see them from out the window, but there are some big seas out here. And we're romping along, probably getting up to 8-9 knots constant, and we've been up to 10s in this set of gusts. And this afternoon you had 12 knots, so we've been picking up a lot of wind. You see the bow's not been actually burying itself, but we've certainly been pressing the boat quite hard. So the new rigging's had a test. We had a bit of a quandary though. We had full mainsail out. The mainsail they recommend you take in on starboard tack, so of course we're on port tack, which doesn't help. So we went up into wind with the motor on. Didn't want to tack in this situation because we've got a preventer on at the moment, and yeah, we just needed to take it very gently, but it was kind of pretty violent at the point of doing it. So we came up, took the pressure out of the mainsail, and then Mary was able to reef it in. She's got 1.5 reefs in at the moment, almost 2, and we're now back comfortable. So how do we reef our mainsail? Well, the mast itself is a hollow shell of aluminium. In the front of it, cables come down, and inside the back end of it is a circular foil which the mainsail wraps around. So in this direction it comes through the slot in the mast quite easily and goes around the foil and wraps itself on as it turns. If you look at the boat on the opposite tack, you'll see that the foil is in exactly the same position in the mast, but with wind pressure and being on port tack, the sail has to go through the groove and wrap back on itself, and this is a much more difficult position. It's also in this position can also be sitting pinned against the shrouds, so a lot of pressure on the sail means very difficult to reef in. So they recommend you reef in on starboard side where there is pressure that helps the sail go through the slot. On starboard tack we tend to try and reef in on, port tack avoid, although it can be done. So in heavy swells the boat comes down the waves, a following sea pushes the boat down the waves, and as it reaches the crest of the wave it tends to lose speed, and the wave tries to turn the boat sidewards on, and in this position is quite a dangerous position to be in. So surfing down the waves in 3-4 metre seas, which is what we've got, means that the boat picks up speed as it goes down the wave, and at the top of the wave loses that speed, but that speed drives the boat down into the trough and slows it, and then it tries to turn sideways on, and if the steering doesn't correct for that, you end up sideways on as the crest comes through, and the motion of the water particles tries to turn the boat over, and you then end up in a situation where the boat is inverted, and not a good place to be. You're in the water, sails are flapping under the sea, and hopefully everybody's safe, but it can be a situation that turns into a disaster where you have people in the water, the boat's upside down, you've got no methods of rescue, you have to get to the flare pack and fire off some flares and see if somebody can help you. You're pretty limited at that point in time. Not good to be there.
Safe arrivals, Acarona!
Safe arrivals, Acarona, after the
Biscay.
After Biscay. So having got our passport stamped, we are now officially in Europe. Schengen days are ticking. So having been past the Tower of Hercules, we decided we better go on an expedition to see what that was all about. Here it is on the top of the hill. We're stuck in Acarona until this swell dies down. You can see how powerful it is at the moment. The tower itself pretty high, and it did have a ramp system inside it that they could walk donkeys up to carry bundles of wood to light the fire as a lighthouse. There's a view back over into Acarona, so our marina will be over the back of there. But the front's quite pretty. They've got nice bays and lots of surf coming in tonight. Quite spectacular skies as well. So today's little task was to sort out why the Jenny was overheating and shutting out. So I'll give it a service. I have one of these oil pumps. I've drained the sump. I have sucked it out with that. I've put a new oil filter on. I was in and checked the impeller. That's very recent, that one, so nothing wrong with that. There's intake water coming from the seacock, so it's not that. And so I've continued with looking at the engine. The manual suggests making sure that the heat exchanger is clear. So I've taken photographs, shined a torch through here, and there is a little bit of build up in there, but not very much. They're all mostly clear, but quite a lot of pressure when you blow through the system from the pump to this pipe, which is the intake to the heat exchanger. This pipe from the end of the heat exchanger up to the exhaust seems fine. Nothing really that indicated what was going on until I blew down this pipe, which goes from here and joins at the back of the generator to go into the actual generator itself. The electrical part gets cooled and then comes out and goes into the exhaust system. And when I blew through that, I couldn't really blow particularly easily. And at the back of there is this Y junction which has a filter in it, and the filter was completely clogged. And the reason it's clogged is because it's got such a fine mesh on it. I've cleaned it up and it now seems to flow really well, but I think that's too fine a filter for a raw water intake. There is already one on our intake on the seacock, so I'm not sure whether I really want to put that back in, but it did capture a piece of broken impeller that I had from a previous incident. So I'm going to put it back in. It does flow water, and I'll remember that's where to look if the engine's overheating first thing, rather than taking the rest of the generator apart. We headed over to the fuel berth before we left, but got gazumped by a lovely classic yacht, which we're happy to let into the fuel berth as he drew 12 feet, but we were not so happy when he took 45 minutes to fill his tanks. So that's us leaving A Corona. Had a nice day here, a couple of nights, and we're heading down the coast and staying close inshore. Well, that was an exciting time. Our first big offshore passage and the start of our adventure to cross the Atlantic.
We started with a bit of trepidation after all stories about Biscay. First couple of days were lovely, then the wind and the swell got up and it really got quite uncomfortable, but she picked up her skirts and was flying.
It was a stressful passage, as Mary said. Our weather forecast system failed after a few days, and 24-hour sailing on a watch system is quite stressful. So thanks to our crew, Paul, who helped us get through that. It would have been much more stressful if it had just been the two of us.
So the highlights were the sunsets, the moon rises and the sunrises, and when the sky was clear at night, the stars even were so bright, they were fabulous.
Yeah, it was great to finally get away from Plymouth and get some sea miles under our keel. So until next time when we're facing Orca Alley, we'll say
fair winds and following seas.
Bye. Bye. Okay, now I'm in the picture.
You always were.